Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Tourismus Namibia. My name is Frank Steffen. As you would know, I normally host this show. I'm the editor of the Allgemeine Zeitung and then obviously responsible for Tourismus Namibia. As always, we lead you through the program with a couple of topics and then destinations, finally ending with To The Point. First up, the topics today. We'll have a quick look at Recon Africa and what's going on up in Kavango region. Furthermore, I'll quickly talk about the east wind conditions down at the coast. And then finally, we'll have a look at the Cusco, which is obviously Küsten Carnival, which boils down to the carnival down at the coast. And then under destinations, we'll have a look at Naturalist Collection, and as well as Cowdray, where I spent a weekend. And then under To The Point, we'll have a look at the Lower Zambezi. I've always been tickled by that area, and I was able to trace a little YouTube video that I would like to share with you. So quite a couple of interesting subjects today. First up, obviously, we've got topics. Right, welcome back. And first up on the topics this week, we'll have a look at Recon Africa, as I stated before. Now, if you look at this map, which it's a map that I got from a presentation made some time ago by the geologist Matt Totten Jr. And it was one of the maps that he had included, which clearly showed where the various sites are where Recon Africa wanted to drill. And on this, you can actually see 8 sites. But in the meantime, they've obviously applied for an extension of their exploration license, and they've also asked for additional sites. Now, the problem that I have is if you look at their new maps, what they've said actually is they literally want to at the end of the day, have 12 sites. And that you can clearly see it's part of the Khaza, and part of it is actually in conservation areas, contrary to what they always say, especially on the left there, 5/4, you can see it's going towards that sort of area. My problem is if you can have a look at the video, and you will see that this is the area that we actually made a drone video just trying to give you an indication of what the area is that we're looking at. And we were following the flow of the Omoramba, Omataku-Omoramba, I must say. Here we're actually looking towards the south, so that's from where the water is coming. And so it's a good area. It looks after a lot of people. And my problem is, you know, in the run-up to the first environmental impact assessment and explorations clearance certificate, Recon Africa and the Ministry of Mines, as well as the Ministry of Finance, Agriculture, and even the Ministry of Environment, they could invoke a degree of ignorance, saying that, you know, we didn't know and we were first trying and so on. But in the case of the extension and the renewal of the exploration permit, this will not apply in the future. And so it's not good to see that during the past week, when looking at the submissions made by people like the Frack Free Namibia organization, as well as even the what you call it, I can't get the word now, the Legal Assistance Center, so LAC, those people, and even other organizations, they all complained about the fact that, firstly, for this environmental impact assessment, only people were allowed that were previously registered in 2019 already. In other words, you were included from this as from now, which is nonsense. The Namibian environmental law clearly states that if you're an interested party or especially affected party, you are allowed to enter into the discussion at any point. So it's, clearly we're once again seeing that Recon Africa and the ministry are allowing mistakes to creep in, which basically has an environmental impact assessment which is totally flawed at the end of the day. And what was interesting was that Frack Free Namibia actually pointed to a situation where even on the previous environmental impact assessment, the Mbambi site, which is obviously still part of a legal dispute in the High Court, that farmer, Andreas Sinonge, his site should have never been accessed in the first place because it wasn't part of the original environmental impact assessment. So, or of the clearance certificate for that matter. So obviously this thing is going exactly the same way as the previous one, where this whole thing is done half-hearted. It's being pushed through with all the might of the government. And so I'm wondering, so if we have a next hearing, what will be the reasons this time why it went wrong? These people are not following our Namibian rules and laws. It's the only way I can interpret it. And it's up to them to convince me that it is not so. Anyway, so Recon Africa is becoming an issue once again, especially as they're entering into many new boreholes. And like I said, they would like to end up with 12 exploration drilling sites. So this is not the last we've heard of Recon Africa. Right, and then if we now look at the following photo, the east wind conditions. I thought it's quite important to point this out because being a tourism show, obviously we like to focus on stuff that endangers your lives as well when you come and visit Namibia. And this is the time of year when we have east wind, basically what you call in Europe föhn winds. And so anyway, you can see the amount of sand that's being carried into the roads. And there have already been accidents this week, very likely to have been caused by these sort of bumps. If you come rushing into town over one of these items, you are sure to roll your car. So please be aware, quite apart from the fact that it damages your cars, because those winds howl at a tremendous speed and do damage to your front headlights and well, actually to the whole body of the car. But the biggest danger is obviously that of accidents. Right, those are the east winds, and then I would be amiss if I didn't remind you that in this month we've got what's called the Küska, which is obviously a German event, but it is not an exclusive German event. It's based on German tradition, Küska being the Küstenkarneval, which boils down to carnival at the coast. And they've got their big Prinsenball and Ladies' Night and all these things coming up there. You can see there on the various dates. So it's as from halfway through the month now, middle of the month, 17th of the 6th is when you've got the Royal Ball, what we call the Prinsenball, and the Kuskikos for the children. It's always a nice event. I always enjoyed that. And then later in the week, you've got your Ladies' Night, Damenabend on the 20th, and up then we've got 2 international evenings, which is quite impressive because those international evenings, that's when you obviously have people standing in the butt, as we call it. That's that half beer barrel where they are allowed to get rid of all their jokes and have a review of the past year. Büttenabend is really exactly that. It's a simple case of the German version of that international evening, if you want to say it that way. And then obviously on the 25th of the 6th, they will actually move through the streets and have their street procession as you, well, it's what's normal. That's what Carnival is all about. So that's where you get closer to the public in general. And then obviously after that you've got the chaos, which basically boils down to a little, invariably ends up as a sundowner. So if you're a tourist and you would like to take part in that, have a look and see what you can do in Swakopmund in those days and enjoy some German tradition The carnival, traditionally, the season in Europe is obviously over because it goes hand in hand with many church events. But in Namibia, being such a small country where people are sort of following the carnival from town to town, you find that the carnival is stretched throughout the year. Anyway, and those were our topics for this week. Up next, we've got destinations. Right, let's delve right into it. First up, we've got an interesting contribution by my colleague Jana Marie Smit. She always tries to come up with something different, and she did. She had a look at what is called the Naturalist collection, and I quickly made these because a map doesn't apply. This is about Namibia, Angola, Madagascar, as you can see there, Uganda and Ethiopia. So clearly you have different places that you can go to and different types of tours that they're offering to you. Now, the Naturalist Collection is a family-run Namibian company that offers unique custom-made tours that can offer customers not only the chance to tick off the usual African wish list items, but offers specialist tours. So to discover the lesser known and rarer animals and plant species, whether it's birds, insects, reptiles, mammals, landscapes, or plants. So as you can see there from the photos, this is not your normal run-of-the-mill type thing. It is run by the Brain family, and B-R-A-I-N-E family, and their extensive expertise of the natural world can help cater for a once-in-a-lifetime natural wonder adventure. And Jana Marie actually sat down with Dane Brain and she had a talk about what they do. And as you can see here, they obviously specialize in photography and all types of different items. Quite impressive. Here you can see. So it's not the normal lions, elephants, and whatever. It's all about it. But let's have a look at the video.
The Naturalist Collection, based in Swakopmund, Namibia, provides one of the most unique and specialized African adventures available anywhere on the continent. The Naturalist Collection is a family-run business that offers the standard menu of guided safari highlights, but what truly sets them apart is the Brain family. Their extensive and widely acknowledged passion, expertise, and deep understanding of Namibia's fauna and flora offers a once-in-a-lifetime adventure unlike any other for anyone with a specialized interest and passion for the more unique array of plant and animal species.
We run natural history tours throughout Namibia. We specialize in various aspects of natural history. So if you break it down, we do the ornithological side, which is the bird watching. We do the herpetological side, which is the reptiles. And then we also break it further down to the entomological section, which is insects. And then the botanical section, which is the plants on the country. We do day trips outside Swakopmund, concentrating on the various aspects which I mentioned. And then we go further in and you can book a longer tour. So we don't have real set departures as such. We custom make each tour to each individual client that inquires. If anyone's interested in reptiles, you will normally find that someone will break it down even further. They like adders, so they would like to see the adders of Namibia. we can tailor make a tour to concentrate only on finding the adders. Anything else we find is a bonus or bycatch, so to say. And the same goes for birding. I mean, you get some listers that only want to see 2 or 3 species, so we will make that tour specifically concentrating around those. And then you get the newcomers that haven't seen any of it. Then we will offer the whole Katoot, which would be a normal, about a 2-week tour throughout the country, slogging around looking for the species that they would like to see. My father, my brother, myself are very, very enthusiastic about the offerings that we have. So what we can give that other operators won't is a more in-depth knowledge about your subject matter. People that come here on a general tour will get a generalist guide, so you get a little bit of a touch of everything, whereas we will concentrate on one aspect and we go in depth, which very few other operators can accommodate. Each landscape is unique in its own right, and in each landscape, what's also what we're looking for is all these unique creatures. We try and concentrate on the lesser known things, the ones that people overlook. So yeah, to break it down easy, looking at a zebra, we'll take the binoculars and look for the tick on the zebra and try and rather show you the tick. My brother and myself are very avid photographers. We offer specialized photographic groups as well. So it's all from starscapes to cultural tours. I mean, we can offer it all. But then again, the landscapes, Etosha National Park, Damara Land, you can go, the Lüderitz Peninsula alone has many endemic species of lichens that half of the world don't know about. So yeah, coming on a tour with us, you will get good value for money, because we're going to show you a lot more than the average guide will.
What is it about Namibia and its natural environment that you love or appreciate the most?
Yeah, I'm going to go straight to the reptiles. Namibia is known as a hotspot for all its lizard species. It's got probably the most lizard species per capita in the world, which are endemic. And a lot of people don't know this. And if you break it down, you can go for geckos. I mean, they are still describing species which are new to science in this country. So there's still this sense of discovery as well, which it makes it fascinating, and it doesn't make it boring for me to go out all the time and show people these things.
Right, and that was obviously the Yalamaree's contribution for this week. Very interesting, I feel. I hope you share my sentiment. Up next, I want to talk about Cowdray Farm. Now, friends of ours invited us to join them to drive to Cowdray. Here on the map you can see there on the left is Rehoboth. So the Rehoboth from Windhoek is about 80 kilometers, and from Rehoboth down to Farm Cowdray is around another 85 k's. And it's really quite a pleasant drive all along the Kalahari. Here you can see here, this is obviously a Google map photo, and it clearly sees how these elongated dunes move sort of from the southeastern side up towards the northwest in long rows, and they obviously stick out because the sun rays have called them. Now, I focused into Farm Cowdray on Google Maps, and well, Google Earth for that matter. And why I put in these circles is the circle is where now the lodge has been built, and it's about 2 years old. You will hear it later on as well. And then obviously that little circle that I put in there, that's where they've got a pool area, which is sort of a social area for everyone. And you look across that pan, if you look at the photos that I've brought along just now, you will see it's quite a sight. Now what I did this time is I tried something new, and it's called Relive. It's something that you switch on your cell phone and literally goes along, and you make some photos as you go. This was just as we arrived at Rehoboth and turned off towards the station and then on towards Cowdray. And it shows you that you're basically going downhill all the time towards the Kalahari. So I tried this for the first time, but it gives you a bit of an indication of how we drove and what we did. This is where we stopped to have a bit of breakfast, and then we went on. quite a pleasant drive, I must say. Very nice area, lots to see. Typical Kalahari sort of drive where you can see the red dunes and everything. So I didn't stop everywhere and make a photo now, but I had to try it just to show you what it is all about. Here you can see I made a bit of a photo as well. Just trying this, and I will try to get my colleagues to start doing this as well, because it gives you as a viewer a better idea of what we did. There's the farm, and that's where we stopped. And so here you've got a very good idea of what area we sort of drove through. Very nice little program, this Relive. So I tried it this time, and these were the photos I then made. Now, I must say, Kaldre is a surprise like you would never believe, because when you come there, it takes you for a moment to understand that this is about relaxation. So this is the farmhouse. This is where we obviously stopped, but from the farmhouse sort of towards our right now, you would have the lodge area, and that's where we stayed. This is the sort of area. This is, by the way, where I drew that circle on the map. So I'm looking down towards the pool area as I made this photo. They obviously enjoyed tremendous rain in the past 2 seasons. So that's why you see it's really, it's unreal. Like 2 years ago, they didn't know how to survive in the drought, and now suddenly they've got some of the best pasture that they've ever had for a very, very long time. This is typically your site where you sit. We spent a lot of time sitting on that stoop or veranda, and also spent a lot of time here. By the way, these are not grass bales. What they do is to protect their young trees. They've literally put a bit of a fence around it and then filled it up with grass so that it's protected from the cold, because believe me, it became very cold. But in summer, obviously, it's very warm. So this is sort of the general area as you look. There I'm looking towards the chalet in which I stayed. They're immensely well organized as people who organize it in the first place, and then very neatly done. This is typically in summer you would have this sort of view towards, this is all towards the pan, just remember. So really quite a pleasant stay we had there. Here everybody can sort of join here and enjoy the afternoon, go for a swim before you go on game drives, or when you've come back to still have a swim and enjoy it. It's not the ideal place to have a braai, that you will have at your chalet, but this is the sort of background that you have when you go there. This is when we went on the game drive. Now, they don't talk of a game drive. They talk of a nature drive because they're worried that you won't see game. You better believe me, you will see a lot of game. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best lens along, so here's a Gemsbuck that walks. And so on these photos, you can't really see that you've got the Gemsbuck in front here, and then further to the back, there's a huge herd of springbuck and wildebeest. And I'm telling you, not one or two, blesbok, hartebeest. So it's not your typical game drive as such where you now see lion or rhino or whatever, but a tremendous amounts of game, really tremendous amounts. And this was obviously typically your Kalahari landscape now, which is unusual to have it so, to see such a lot of pasture on it. So really they must have had quite some rain. And if you look at the spurs in front here, those are animal spurs, those are not ours. So just the spurs alone already indicate. Now again, this photo was just taken downhill, and in the background there was lots of game. Really, I'm not lying here. I haven't seen such a lot of game in many, many years. This is at the Sundowner site where you have the best opportunity to make these tremendous photos, and you can see this grass becoming all sort of silvery, and it's just it's a magic experience. And if you're on a drive through to Matamata or from Matamata to Windhoek, this is your ideal stopover. You should just spend at least 1 day, if not 2 days here. This was our Sundowner up on the dune. You could see their children went along. We had a nice chat, and it's totally relaxed, unreal. So it's one of the better experiences in a long time. I simply did not realize anymore that there are still farms that have really big herds of animals and are not shy to show you those items. But what we did is Oscar compiled, I made a few video clips of the area, and then Oscar compiled a complete video for you. Have a look, there's an interview included.
Also, guten Morgen, ich bin Frank Steffen, wie Sie alle wissen, und ich sitze hier nicht im Studio, sondern in der Küche auf der Farm Cowdray. Und hier drüben sehen Sie Markus Dressler und seine Frau Carola, geboren in Ling. Und jetzt erzählt mir mal ein bisschen was von eurer Farm Cowdray. Was hat das auf sich?
Genau, also ich bin jetzt seit 2 Jahren mit meinem Mann auf der Farm. Meine Eltern sind nach wie vor ansässig. Die Farm ist seit 1939 bereits in einem Familienbesitz. Das heißt, mein Großvater hat die Farm gekauft, 1939. Ja, und seitdem schleusen wir die Generation hier durch. Und,
vierte Generation jetzt.
Vierte Generation, genau. Und Cowdray war ganz stark immer schon rein vom Biotop, weil wir im südlichen Bereich des Landes angesiedelt sind. Ist es das klassische Schafbiotop. Das heißt, unser Leben war bis dato immer getrieben von einer Schafzucht. Damals noch die Persianer, die Karakulschafe. Heutzutage sind wir übergesiedelt zu den sogenannten Meatmastern, die einfach landestypisch adaptiert sind und für eine Fleischproduktion eignen. Und der Gedanke von Markus und mir war, warum nicht den touristischen Zweig noch mehr aufbauen auf der Farm, sind vor 2 Jahren aus Deutschland nach Namibia zurückgekommen und haben hier ein ganz kleines Projekt für uns gestartet im gesamten Self-Catering-Betrieb. Das heißt, wir haben ein kleines Setup aufgebaut von lediglich nur 3 Self-Catering-Chalets und einem Poolbereich. Und der Gedanke ist einfach, in dieser Gegend gibt es ganz wenige Unterkünfte. Wir liegen auf einer Route, die sehr häufig genutzt wird, um zum Kalahari National Park zu fahren. Und die meisten Unterkünfte sind ansässig genau an dem Grenzgebiet, weniger auf der Strecke dorthin. Und das war unser Gedanke, eine kleine Nische zu finden, und haben, wie gesagt, dann 2020 das Bauprojekt gestartet und haben die Pforten geöffnet für die Farm Cowdray Chalets dann im September 2020.
Was ja interessant daran ist, es ist ja im Prinzip genau die Zeit mit Covid-19 eigentlich. Ne? Also genau. Das heißt, sie hat auf dem Tiefpunkt angefangen,
genau.
Und jetzt sieht es aber schon viel besser aus, oder wie?
Ja, wir hatten nämlich, sagen wir, Corona oder Covid, das Glück, da zu bauen, weil wir auch keinen Zeitdruck hatten. Also wir hatten ja, wir sind nicht nach Namibia gekommen und gesagt, wir starten jetzt zum 30.09. oder zum 1.10., sondern wir haben gesagt, wir bauen in aller Ruhe. Ja? Und da hat uns Covid eigentlich sehr in die Karten gespielt, weil es gab wenig Arbeitsplätze zu der Zeit. Wir hatten dann sehr gute Bauunternehmer, sehr gute Jungs, die uns da geholfen haben beim Bau. Ja. Die waren alle sehr zuverlässig und ja, immer da auch. Ja.
Ja. Und das kann man ja sehen. Ich meine, ich habe ja in einer dieser Einheiten gewohnt und ich finde das wunderhübsch. Und dieses mit dem Schwimmbad und ist das gedacht so einfach als Familienaufenthaltsgegend oder ist das auch für Gruppen, damit sie zusammenkommen?
Also für uns
sowohl als auch.
Genau, sowohl als auch. Also man kann natürlich einzeln die Chalets buchen. Es hat sich aber jetzt aus den letzten Monaten herausgegeben, dass es eine Gruppendynamik bildet. Okay. Das heißt, die 3 Chalets, da es nur 3 Einheiten sind, werden häufig oder primär durch eine Gruppe gebucht, sei es eine Gruppe der Familie oder Freunde, die sich zusammentreffen. Und dann eignet sich natürlich der Poolbereich mit ein bisschen Platz, um diese gesamte Gruppe zu beherbergen.
Das hat ja eigentlich dadurch so ein bisschen das Gästefarm-Feeling, also weniger als nur Lodge in dem Sinne.
Genau.
Und das Wunderschöne ist, und das kann ich wirklich bezeugen, so wie ich hier sitze, bin ich immer noch super beeindruckt, war ja wild. Die Zahlen sind beeindruckend. Wie seht ihr das? Was macht ihr da? Arbeitet ihr da mit der Farm Hand in Hand und wie genau?
Genau, also für uns ist die Wildhege mit eines der obersten Gebote. Also das ist ganz, ganz entscheidend. Und wir versuchen auch möglichst wenig Konflikt von Haustieren, das heißt unseren Schafen, gegenüber des Wildes zu geben. Das bedeutet prinzipiell, wir haben eine Farm, die ist 7.500 Hektar groß und die Hälfte der Farm im östlichen Teil wird für den Schafbetrieb genutzt und der westliche Teil gehört 100% dem Wild. Das heißt, wir haben keinen Konflikt von einem Haustier zum Wild. Für uns ist die Wildhege immens, sei es in einer Trockenheit füttern wir zu, sei es bei einer Überpopulation würden wir natürlich eingreifen. Wir haben auch anstehend in diesem Jahr ein Hubschrauberfangteam, ganz professionell, die Tiere dann einfach in den Zahlen reduzieren, damit wir sie lebendig fangen, lebendig im ganzen Land wieder aussetzen können. Und das ist der Hegebetrieb. Also es ist eine sehr intensive Aufgabe, man unterschätzt es, weil kaum ist ein gutes Jahr da, explodieren die Zahlen bei allen Tieren, egal welchen Spezien. Genau, und davor wussten wir in den Trockenheiten nicht, wie sollen wir das bloß 50% der Tiere überleben lassen. Also das ist schon eine große Aufgabe, aber es ist für uns eine der Prioritäten, denn wenn man den Tourismus mit integrieren möchte in das Gesamtkonzept, finden wir, muss das Gesamtkonzept auch stimmen. Also das eine ist die Beherbergung in einem kleinen Bereich, aber das andere ist, man möchte ja zusätzliche Leistungen bieten. Und dazu gehört bei uns der klassische Nature Drive. Und idealerweise sieht man auf diesem Nature Drive Tiere und die schön schön nah dran stehen, nicht zu weit weg sind. Und man hat ein tatsächliches Gefühl, die Kalahari leben zu sehen.
Ja, und das ist eben das. Man sieht hier, wie ich schon eben zu Markus sagte, oder zu dir sagte, so oft auf diesen Farmen sieht man dann eine große Gruppe Tiere, freut sich tierisch und sagt so, nun hat sich das ja gelohnt, hierher zu fahren. Und hier fährt man ja wirklich, also soweit man sieht, sind immer wieder Tiere. Das ist ja nicht ein einziges Mal, dass man nicht irgendwo in eine gewisse Richtung gucken kann und dann sieht man wieder was und dann ist noch eine Gruppe und noch eine Gruppe. Also das muss ich sagen, das war unwahrscheinlich beeindruckend. Aber Markus, jetzt du, der aus Deutschland ursprünglich dann hierzu kamst, natürlich ihr gemeinsam, aber was wie hat sich das bei dir ergeben? Bist du einfach nur, hast gesagt, Schluss, ich möchte hier raus?
Nee, es hat sich eigentlich so ergeben, als ich das erste Mal hier war, ich habe Carola in Deutschland kennengelernt und bin dann mit ihr, ich weiß gar nicht, vor 7 oder 8 Jahren das erste Mal hierher gefahren und ich war so beeindruckt von dieser Kalahari und von dieser, ich muss sagen, wenn du da auf der Düne stehst,
Ja, genau.
das hat mich einfach geflasht. Ich brauchte da meine Zeit, ich brauchte meine 10 Minuten, 20 Minuten für mich alleine, um es erstmal aufzusaugen. Also ich war wirklich geflasht von dem ganzen, für mich Naturwunder.
Was ging mir gestern Abend so?
Also ich kannte das aus Deutschland. In Deutschland war das alles so ein Gewurle und du bist hier einfach in der Natur. Ja. Und wir beide hatten sehr anstrengende, stressige Jobs in Deutschland, hatten eigentlich kaum was voneinander, eigentlich nur noch am Wochenende zum Leben, hatten auch viele Freunde vernachlässigt dadurch. Und ich habe gesagt, Carola, das kann nicht unsere Zukunft sein, unser Leben, so zusammen zu leben, wir müssen da was ändern. Ja? Und dann haben wir nachher überlegt und dann war es meine Idee, vielleicht hierher zu kommen und sagen wir, unser Spaß war es immer schon mit Leuten zu arbeiten und ein bisschen zu beherbergen und
das anzubringen.
Genau. Und dann hatten wir die Idee mit den Chalets und dann sind wir wiederum hergefahren, haben das mal so hier mit der Familie besprochen und dann die ganzen Blöcke mal abgesteckt, wo sie sein könnten. Und dann haben wir diese Chalets in Deutschland selber designt.
Ja, weil ich finde sie super.
Wir haben die selber designt und ja, und dann haben wir den Schritt gewagt. Am 2.2.2020 waren wir dann hier.
Und jetzt geht es Schlag auf Schlag. Ihr seid zufrieden. Ne?
Wir sind sehr zufrieden.
Sehr zufrieden. Also ich hätte nie gedacht, dass es, wir haben gehofft, dass es so gut anläuft, aber ich hätte nie gedacht, dass es dann doch so funktioniert. Und allein diese Mund-zu-Mund-Propaganda, was in diesem Land ist fantastisch.
Ja, und vor allen Dingen, was man sagen muss, es ist ja eigentlich relativ nah an Windhoek. Das heißt, wer immer als Tourist landet und meinetwegen nur erstmal aus dem, Milieu raus will, einfach nur abschalten will, der fährt 2 Stunden hier raus und hat dann im Prinzip schon Natur pur.
Ja, ja. Und das ist genau das. Also es nutzen viele, wenn jetzt so langsam läuft es Gott sei Dank wieder an, dass auch die internationalen Gäste wieder eintreffen. Es wird häufig als erste Station genutzt, weil es nur 2 Stunden sind. Vor allen Dingen bei denen, die schon in Namibia waren. Also,
ja, weil es noch was anderes ist.
Genau, es ist was anderes. Sie möchten nicht die erste Nacht in Windhoek verbringen. Das heißt, viele starten tatsächlich die Rundreise von hier aus und von hier aus entweder in den Süden oder in den Westen ist relativ gut zu erreichen. Oder sie nutzen es als letzte Station, weil sie einfach einen kurzen Weg zum Flughafen haben. Die Flieger gehen in der Regel am Abend oder am Mittag, je nachdem welche Fluggesellschaft. Und man kann es ohne Stress sehr, sehr gut
schaffen. Ich meine, ich habe es ja gesehen, die sind einfach mit einem Brötchen in der Hand losgefahren und auf halbem Wege haben wir ein kleines Picknick gemacht und dann waren wir nur hier. Also das war ja wirklich nur keine große Anfahrt. Ja, und jetzt ganz zuletzt, weil das die Leute interessieren wird, Cowdray, der Name, woher?
Ja, Cowdray, also ein Name, der sehr untypisch ist für das Land und wir haben einige Regionen hier oder einige Farmen in dieser Region, die englische Namen haben. Und es hat eine ganz einfache Begebenheit. Damals der Landmesser, zu dem Zeitpunkt, wo die Farmen abgesteckt wurden im südlichen Namibia, war ein Brite. Also der Landvermesser war ein Brite und hat daher den Farmen, die er hier im Süden abgesteckt hat, englische Namen gegeben. Und es gibt ein Fort, das heutzutage ein zerbrochenes altes Fort ist, das Cowdray, das sich Cowdray nennt. Und in England, genau. Und demzufolge hat er den Namen dieser Farmwerk gegeben.
So, genau. Und damit wissen Sie jetzt Bescheid und jetzt müssen Sie unbedingt hierher kommen, denn das ist einfach herrlich hier. Das kann ich Ihnen ganz bestimmt bezeugen. Euch beiden danke ich fürs Gespräch.
Super, vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank.
Gut.
Jetzt sagt mir mal, ist das euer Fort hier?
Ja.
Aha. Und das verteidigt ihr dann wie?
Stücke. Ja,
okay.
Wir haben hier unsere Waffen.
Aha.
Eine Picke, ein Hammer und was war das? Hier, hey, meine Patrone.
So, aber Gott sei Dank brauchtet ihr das noch nicht oft verteidigen, oder?
Doch, wir mussten es einmal neu bauen.
Ach so?
Ja, ist einmal eingekracht.
Oh, sind die Springblöcke da rein?
Ich denke eher, der Baum ist eingekracht. Der war hier noch rübergewachsen. Ja,
okay.
Der stand hier so.
Und wie heißt das Fort?
Das hieß MMBT. Aber Suzuki. Jetzt heißt das Suzuki, weil wir haben ein S gefunden.
Okay. Yeah, and that was Carola and her husband Marcus Dressler. They basically live on the Ling farm. Some of you might know the Lings, family Ling. But anyway, so they just before, it's where the Khomas region actually comes to an end. Just before you go into the Hadab region, that's where they lie. So that's Cowdray Farm for you, this time a bit longer because I was there. I was able to fumble around and make many pictures for you. Up next, we've got To The Point. Right. If you have a look at the Khaza Park, that's the Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier park that covers basically Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. A huge park. Part of that park again is the Lower Zambezi, and you actually have the Lower Zambezi National Park, which is part of obviously down in Zimbabwe and Zambia. It's a transfrontier park again. But I've always been wanting to tell you more about it because obviously as Tourismus Namibia, we would also like to focus on what we call 10 degrees south. In other words, basically countries making up the southern part of Africa, trying to bring it closer to you. Now, I found a video made by, on YouTube, made by Luke Massey, who spent 10 days exploring the Lower Zambezi National Park. In the process, he covered something like what he called 1,500 square miles and a myriad of habitats from rivers and waterholes to forests and floodplains. The park is home to lions, leopard, elephants, waterbuck, Cape buffalo, and many more. So really it's a continuation of what you start finding as you leave Rundu towards Katima, along what is previously known as the Caprivi Strip and these days known as the Zambezi region. So clearly it's a continuation, and it's really a manifestation of what the Khaza Park is really all about. But have a look at the video.
It's that time of year again. I'm back in Zambia and on safari in a completely different location, the Lower Zambezi. It's my first time here and the wildlife is incredible. I'm spending my time here at Chiawa Camp to begin with. And as you can see behind me, from my deck where I'm staying, I've got Ellies. A lot of people that come on safari get these guys mixed up with water buffalo, but they're the Asian species. These are Cape buffalo, one of Africa's big five. They make brilliant photographic subjects. We've got a whole herd of them here, but we've got a load of old boys as well with torn up ears and scratches and scrapes. No doubt they've been in a few battles with lions over the years.
If you see a lone buffalo bull, it is probably a dagger boy. Dagger boys are older bulls who have passed their prime and have separated from the herd. One of the big bonuses of the Lower Zambezi is being able to get out on the water.
10 months ago, I was a little bit upstream of here, fearing for my life, rafting on the Class 5 rapids of the Zambezi. Now, this is much more my scene, serenely paddling along this little channel, seeing what wildlife we can find. There's hippos dotted about that we have to avoid, but I've never been on the water like this, no motor or anything, just paddling along, completely at one with nature. We've got elephants crossing, there's beaters flitting around, it's awesome.
I've never shared sundowners with African skimmers before. These bizarre birds with elongated lower bills skim across the water in search of food, and with this stunning sunset it makes for some cracking stills.
Been a quiet morning so far in the bush, but we've come across a bit of a murder mystery here, but it's not your normal murder mystery. Out here in the bush, normally it's very much predator v prey, but here we've got a bit of a predator on predator piece of action. What's going on here?
What I'm holding here is the head of the brown snake eagle, who we suspect got killed by the Vero's owl during the night.
And that's, I mean, Vero's giant eagle owl, they're big birds. They'd normally be going for guinea fowl, spur fowl, maybe ducks or geese.
Yeah, this is actually a very unusual kind of a kill.
Chris, how long have you been guiding for?
20 years now, and I have never come across such, where eagles, where owls attack, eagles.
Zambia is a great place for elephants, and the Lower Zambezi is particularly special. Elephants cross over from neighbouring Zimbabwe, and there's tons of them. You can come across families throughout the bush. I love elephants, and I just can't get bored of watching them. And throughout my stay here in the Lower Zambezi, the photographic opportunities with them are endless. To be able to spend time with these giants is an immense privilege. How anyone could look down the barrel of a gun and contemplate killing such a magnificent beast always astounds me. Coming eye to eye with an elephant is a feeling I just cannot describe.
Every time I'm on safari, there's a few species that I really want to photograph, no matter how many times I've photographed them before. And one of those species are hippos. And I've got a pod of them just in front of me over here. And they're renowned as the most dangerous animals in Africa. But given space and just being a bit sensible around them, you should be fine. The biggest worry around here, and why I'm set back from the water a little bit, is crocodiles. Hippos are predominantly nocturnal, that's when they come out to feed. You might be lucky and catch a few early morning or late in the afternoon, but otherwise they spend most of their time submerged like this, coming up for air every now and again and just keeping cool. The trials and tribulations of mixing wildlife photography with filming. This time yesterday we were passing this spot and there was a whole troop of baboons leaping across. We got a little bit of footage and some kind of mediocre photos, but I wanted to head back this morning to try and repeat the feat, but as you can see, nothing. There's been kind of dribs and drabs and we've got a little bit, but nothing of the madness of yesterday. Unfortunately, this is my final morning in the Chiawa camp area of the Lower Zambezi, but I've not finished there. I'm heading downstream to Old Mondoro, so join me there.
Right, and that was Luke Massey, thank you. He actually thanked Chiama Safaris, who apparently assisted him a lot. I will be trying to get more information out of that one. We've got an interview coming up in one of these days where I would like to speak to somebody from Tanzania. So we want to gradually have a look at introducing these areas to you, because I still believe that Namibia is your ideal springboard if you want to go towards or to these areas, and the other way around. If you've done those areas and you finish your safari or whatever you do in Namibia, what a way to finish your holiday. So like I said, the idea is to introduce you to that, and then also to make us as Namibians understand that there's a world out there beyond our border. So let's have a look in the next few months whether we can't get more about those areas so that you know where to go if you have seen it all in Namibia already. Anyway, that's the end of our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Some interesting information and new ideas, I hope. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm out of here just now, but you, I hope, will still have a lovely Sunday afternoon. And then obviously I wish you a good week ahead and see you next time, same time on the Sunday again in 7 days. Until then, keep safe.